Well, I started my journey in the automotive industry in New Zealand as a teenager. Come out of high school, didn't know what to do, and then a position came up through the high school as a mechanic at Lucas Industries. And I'd sort of had a car at that stage, and I thought, oh, I know who Lucas are. And I had a Morris Minor, and everything on the Morris Minor was Lucas, the electrics and things like that. So I sort of knew who Lucas were, and I thought, oh, I can't go wrong with Lucas. Little did I know. At the end of my apprenticeship, I think I was the last apprentice to go through the Lucas stream in New Zealand before they closed out and folded. But I did my apprenticeship at Lucas, and it was a really interesting time. At that time, it was like one of the old school, bigger automotive manufacturers where they had like a battery department and a welding department and a brake department and an auto electrical department and a diesel department. So we had lots of people working in the same building doing all sorts of different and wonderful things. Very thought-provoking and a great learning environment to learn in. So I really enjoyed my time as an auto electrician apprentice. And then at the tender-old age of 21 or something like that, I thought, oh yeah, time to dig up roots and head to the UK like most of us did to do our journey overseas, and went to England and worked as an auto electrician in England and spent some interesting times working in and around London, and then found myself back in Australia again looking for a job, and fell into a job as an auto electrician as a local place in Caulfield in Melbourne, and with Trevor Chambers at Chambers Auto Electrical. Worked there for a number of years, and eventually, after a period of time, thought, well, it's time to go out on my own. So we did that in, I think, 2000. I was a mobile auto electrician, looking around, doing work on the side of the road in my van, and then we bought a place in Burke Road, Malvern, and ran Malvern Auto Electrical for a number of years, and then upgraded out of there. We overgrew that, and we went to Station Street, Malvern, and ran Malvern Auto Services. We'd done that for a number of years, and then sold that and moved across to Bentley Auto Electrical. Or Bentley Automotive, actually, as it is. It's not auto electrical. So we're multifaceted now. We do mechanical, electrical, air conditioning, general repairs. So yeah, it's been a good journey. Probably a bit sick of being told what to do, but it's a bit of a catch-22 in some ways, because when you're a business owner, especially when you have employees, you have to make sure that everyone's got work. So you're a bit of a slave to the beast in some ways, but it's a good thing, because I never like working on trucks, for instance, so I don't work on trucks now, so I've got a bit of direction on where I go. But I think it changes the industry. Wow, it's been an amazing journey in my career within cars. When I did my apprenticeship, started my apprenticeship, carbureted cars were the rage. Fuel injection was the future, and since then, fuel injection have sort of come and gone, and it's going. Electrification is the next thing. Technology has just been horrendous. It's incredible. It's been an interesting industry to be involved in, because the technology and the learning aspect is never ending. So you're forever learning and absorbing and trying to come to grips with the new technology. Electrification is our next venture. We've got the start-stop technology cars coming through now. Next step is going to be full electrification. Exciting times for everyone, but very challenging. Well, that is a transition. So the transition is the start-stop vehicles that you have now. So you pull up a set of lights and your car will switch off. Nobody really likes it. But the fuel consumption savings are huge. So that's the first step. And then the next step is hybrid. So where the car has its own sort of engine, and it sort of mixes between the petrol engine and the electric engine. And then you have plug-in hybrids, where it's more electric than engine, and then you go to the full electric cars, and then you've got automated cars coming as well, so they drive themselves. And at the moment we've got automotive cruise control that sort of does that by itself, so it actually drives itself as it's driving down the road. And that sort of came into, we had adaptive cruise control in the mid-2000s, so it's been around for a long time now. So they're getting it right, and I think the cars of the future will be driving themselves. It's an interesting question. It's a blur. There's a real crossover between electric and mechanical, and you really have to have the understanding of both. So you have to have a good understanding of the electrical system and the mechanical system, and how they interact with each other. A good example of that is transmission in a car, where you'll have a sort of 7 or 8 speed gearbox, which is all electronically controlled. And if you have a problem in that, you've got to try and differentiate whether it's an electrical problem or a mechanical problem. But on top of that, you've also got software. So just like your iPhone or your Android phones, software updates are really important. And sometimes you'll chase a fault and there is no repair strategy for it. It's a software update that fixes it. Yeah, so in a modern motor car, the car's got a diagnostic ability to monitor itself, and the diagnostic tools that we use plug into the car and will monitor the flags that are set if there is a fault. So if the car has a fault, it'll flag an error, and the diagnostic equipment aids us in determining what that error is. The equipment also has the ability for us to see the information that is delivered to the computer in real time, so that we can determine if that fault code is the real cause of because it'll direct us in a direction to try and isolate the fault. Not always the fault lies where the code tells us, so we have to differentiate whether the fault is in that sensor that it pulls us towards, or in another avenue like an air leak that causes the sensor to read incorrectly. So we've got to determine where the fault lies by using the information that the diagnostic tools aid us with. Cars are a lot cleaner now than what they used to be. So when I did my apprenticeship, we were up to our elbows in grease. That's no longer the case. It's a lot cleaner these days, and you've got to be very tech savvy. So the modern cars are horrendous in the amount of tech stuff that they have on them. So you have to be switched on. You have to have an interest in what you're doing. You have to be always learning and love cars. So the future of cars, I think the future of cars is maybe we may not all own cars in the future. Maybe we might have this like car share sort of system where you'll go to a local corner and you'll just hire a car. I think that's probably the way where it'll go in the future, but that's a little way down the track. I think the insurance companies will really dictate how that all works. So yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting times with the car industry. We're forever evolving and changing and adapting with industry and circumstance. COVID's been a bit of a bender. We keep evolving and changing, so we'll keep doing that.